Hello, this is Steve N4LQ. This is the end-fed half-wave transformer, and I've just completed building it. And I thought we'd go over some of the details so that hopefully someday you could build your own. It's really quite simple. The transformer is built in an electrical enclosure that you can buy at Home Depot, and so far that's the only place I've seen these. It's made by Carlin, and there's a lot of places where you can buy Carlin boxes, but Home Depot had the size that I wanted, and this is 4 by 4 by 2 inches. And I liked it because it has the mounting flange on the top and the bottom, and it makes it easy to attach to your wooden or fiberglass pole. We don't recommend attaching it to metal because metal would be a little bit too close to the transformer. So also we are using 240 size cores. That means 2.4 inches in diameter. There are 3 of them stacked, and they are glued together with a few drops of super glue. Takes about 2 minutes for the glue to dry, and it's just about impossible to break loose. So just any old cheap super glue will work, and just simply stack the cores up on the table as you glue them together and wait a few minutes, and you'll be ready to wind the wire around it. The turns ratio is 1 to 7, so there's 1 primary turn and 7 secondary, and we've upped the ratio to 2 to 14, and that gives you the correct impedance that you need. So the winding ratio being 1 to 7, and you simply square the secondary turns, and that gives you 49, and that's how we got a 1 to 49 impedance ratio. 50 ohms in times 49 equals 2,450 ohms out at the antenna. And that'll match a half wavelength of wire. The antenna, as you know, works on all bands 80 through 10 meters with a fairly low SWR. Now, we also used stainless steel hardware throughout, and we got this at both Home Depot and Lowe's, and you can just buy it off the shelf. I think these are 3/16 bolts, about 1 inch long, and I used ample lock washers. I used a lock washer inside here to hold the lug in, and lock washer here, and then a nut, and then 2 more flat washers to put the wire between, and then a lock washer on both of these. So this right here would be your ground terminal. As you can see, it's connected to the outside of the SO239 connector, and this would be your antenna connector, which goes to the secondary of the transformer. And this loop on the top here is simply a strain relief. You can use it to hang it with by a rope. And what I do is I run my my antenna wire through here and give it 1 tie, and then run it over to your lug here, and that takes the strain off that connection. Then you got your SO239 is mounted externally. That takes up less room on the inside, and also it's not a good idea to put it on the inside because that thickness of this box uses up some of the threads, and you may need those for your PL259 connector. So we just leave it on the outside. We also got stainless steel 632 nuts and bolts here with the lock washers, and the lugs, the solder lugs, are soldered to the enamel wire, and of course you have to be sure to scrape all that enamel off with a razor blade or something before you solder it. This is your ground coming off the primary. It's a combination of the bottom of the primary and the secondary twisted together, and we soldered those together here, and then shine some more light on it, and then we split it, one side going to the external ground connection and the other over to the coax connector. So everything's at ground potential there. So the nice thing about the entire system is that your antenna is always at DC ground potential. And we prefer to mount this transformer low to the ground, no more than about 2 feet or so, and run a ground wire from the ground terminal here down to a ground rod 4 to 8 feet long. That gives you a measure of static and lightning protection. It also establishes an RF ground that is sufficient for such a high impedance antenna, and helps reduce participation static and so forth. So this vent here is fairly new design that some of the commercial people have been using on their boxes. And originally what they did was seal the box up airtight, and then they drilled a tiny weep hole here. But we found out that moisture kept building up inside, so that idea was abandoned, and we just sealed the box up airtight and put in this one air vent over here. And this is a Bud product, and the vent, the part number is 563-NBX, Nancy Bob X-ray -10911. If you want to look that up, you can get those from Mauser or DigiKey or anywhere. And you've got the box, like I said, is at Home Depot, and you can look that up. The part number, or the SKU number at Home Depot, is SKU 499982, and you can go to Home Depot's website, key that in to their search, and find the box. And then you can order them, or you can go pick them up. So let's see. Oh, the Ferrite Cores. They are actually manufactured by a company called Ferrite, F-A-R-R-I-T-E. The part number for that is 595-200-3809, and they're available from Mauser, and they're also available from Arrow Electronics for just a bit less money, and Arrow also has free shipping, so that's where I've been getting mine. The completed unit weighs 1 pound and 8.5 ounces, so it's fairly heavy. Its power rating depends on the frequency and the mode that you're going to operate. Sideband on any mode is no problem. Maximum legal limit, no problem, 80 through 10 meters. The higher duty cycle modes, such as CW, you begin to get a little bit more restricted, and we recommend keeping the power down to about 700 watts to maybe 1,000 watts. And then on 80 meters, which is the exception, you need to keep the power down to 500 or less. Otherwise, on 80 meters, the heat that's built up in the transformer here can cause the transformer to go in what's known as the Curie temperature limit. And when it reaches the Curie temperature limit, the permeability of the core decreases to the point that it no longer functions as a core. But as soon as it cools off, it goes back to normal. And this is not the same thing as saturation. You're just exceeding the Curie temperature limit, and once it cools off, you're okay. But only on 80 meters is that an issue. The digital modes, you don't normally run that much power anyway, but you could probably be safe with 300 or 400 watts digital mode. They got a very high duty cycle. It's almost like a continuous carrier, RIDI included. The little capacitor there is 100 picofarad, and I think mine are rated at 10,000 volts. Pick them up on Amazon, eBay, whatever. Just get a 100 picofarad high voltage capacitor, anywhere from 3 to a zillion volts. It doesn't make any difference. They've learned how to make these things really tiny now. And it just simply goes across the coax connector. So that is needed for the higher bands, and it keeps the SWR lower on 20 through 10 meters, especially on 10 meters. So I guess that is about it for the box. And then the lid has a gasket around it to keep it airtight. And I put a felt strip on here. This is one of these stick-on felt slider strips, and I picked this up at Lowe's. And let's see, here's the box it came in. You can get those in the furniture feet protector, or whatever you call it, department. And being felt, we don't have to worry about them overheating. So they just peel off and stick. And it comes out just the right thickness to keep pressure on the toroid so that it doesn't vibrate during shipment or during temperature change or whatever. So as you can see, it's keeping a little tension on the transformer. It's a quick and easy way to protect it. So all you got to do is put your lid on, and then your 4 screws, and you're ready to go. So that is pretty much an overview of this. I'll give you a 360. Again, I would recommend a 4x4 post or a board or something to mount it on, and don't put metal up against it, because that would be virtually, right up against the core of that transformer, and that could cause problems. So you don't want to do that. 80 through 10 meters, SWRs will be the highest on 30 and 17 meters, and a little bit high on 10. It's going to get up to around 2 on 10 meters. 30 may be as much as 3, and even that is not really a big problem. But 80, 40, and 20, and 15 on my antenna that I have here, my SWR is just about flat. It's about 1.4 to 1 or so. So you can hop around the bands really quick with it, and it's a very efficient transformer. There's less than 1 dB of loss in this. Most of the tests have shown about half a dB. 52 mix will be about 10% more efficient than 43 mix, which I think a lot of the commercial vendors are using. And the reason they don't use 52 mix is because of the cost. And 43 mix, your cores are about $4.50 a piece. 52 mix, your cores can go up to $12 a piece. So we're going to have nearly $40 invested in cores, and the rest of the components you could end up with $60 or $65 total investment in this for maybe a better transformer than what you can buy on the market. But of course, you got to do a little work. So there you go, folks. This has been N4LQ, Steve, And we wish you all a best of 73s and hope you enjoy building your transformer someday.